Welcome back to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now, let's start with the first story. It's called Self-Checkout. I was at a local gas station with a self-checkout system. It also takes food stamps. The rule is that you have to go to the register, not the self-checkout, to use the food stamp card. I was there today with a food stamp card, getting me some lunch, and the guy was manning the self-checkout. It came to my turn. The cashier said, "Come on up." "Oh, I've got to use the register." "No, you can use the self-checkout now. Come up, you're wasting time." "Sir, I have a foo. You must use the self-checkout. Come up now or leave." "Yes, sir." I walked up and scanned my items and tried to use my food stamp card. And like I knew it would, it didn't work. What the heck is going on with this dumb thing? I showed him my card. "Sir, I was trying to tell you that I have a food stamp card. I have to use the regular register. Come over here and let's get this over with, so the next customer can use this one." I walked over, paid for my items and left. All I could do was walk out the door and laugh. The next story is called Not All Powerful. About 10 years ago, I was working in a big organization with lots of different departments. I was a subject matter expert, working across different departments. I saw my job as making the lives of the people I worked with as simple as possible, and my clients loved me for that. Unfortunately, this came back to bite me, because they started expecting me to perform miracles. Before I started at this job, someone had decided to split up a department, except they didn't really do it properly. So all the systems still saw them as a single department. The two department heads despised each other. My solution was to create a workaround in the system I had control over, so that they looked separate from each other, and no one saw the other area's data. But in every other system, one department looked like it fell under the bigger one. And if you looked closely at my reports, you could very clearly see the workaround. The department head of the smaller department was really sick of this and asked me to fix it. I explained that the issue was at the organization level. She needed to write to the higher ups and get written authorization to change the official structure. Then, once that was done, the rest of the systems would follow suit. If I changed it in my system, then something would break, and she would have bigger problems than just having to ignore a header that I would hide or delete from her reports. She insisted that if I changed the structure in my system, it would start a domino effect, and everyone else, who was less helpful than I was, would have to listen to her when she said that she wanted their system changed to mimic mine. I tried to make a joke of it, explaining that I know I look like I'm all powerful because I can get stuff done for her. This was not going to work out that way. She actually needed to deal with the organization bureaucracy. Trust me, I can't help with this one. This response only frustrated her more. We went around this for about a year, and she finally lost it with me. She called me late one Friday afternoon and told me I had to make the change, or else. I explained again that things would break, but she wasn't having it. She cut me off and told me to do as she asked, or else. Cue malicious compliance. I asked her to put her request in writing. Always cover yourself. She promptly sent me an email. I responded straight away, saying doing this is going to break stuff. We have discussed it before, but since you insist, I'll get the changes sorted ASAP. I organized for the change in my system, stopped by my boss's office on my way out to tell him what was happening and to prepare for the fallout. Again, always cover yourself. He chuckled and wished me a good weekend. The change was easily reversible and the problems would be very frustrating, but minor. 11 AM on Monday, the department head calls me in a huff. Apparently, she wasn't able to see any of her staff in the HR system. I said that sounds about right. Now that my system and HR don't agree, computer says no. Remember how I told you things would break? This is things breaking. I'm happy to switch my system back. She simply hung up on me. Wordis, she called the HR person, who said the same thing, and told her what I had done. And she spent the rest of the day pulling favors. To get the process I told her about months before fast-tracked. By our next meeting, things had been changed properly. The situation was never mentioned again, but from that day onwards, if I told her that I couldn't do something, she took my word for it. The third story is called Serving Coffee. I was at my boyfriend's house for a week. He has planned a card tournament with his friends. Since I'm not interested in card games, I decided to stay in the bedroom, playing games on his computer. I could hear them talking, but I didn't listen until I heard my name. Basically, the friends wanted some coffee. No big deal, until one of them specifically wanted me to serve them. Boyfriend told him it was a bad idea, but he shrugged him off, saying that it was natural. The friend comes to the bedroom and asks me to serve them coffee, and I say sure. When I came to the living room, my boyfriend and all the other boys were shocked. Boyfriend asked me if I was alright, and I told him with a big smile, sure. Boyfriend started to try hiding a smile, before telling his friend I shouldn't have to serve them in his home, since I'm a guest too. The other friends were awkward, but the one insisting on me serving them doubled down, saying he was right, and it's natural that as a woman, I served them. The group told him he went too far, but I agree with him. The place of a woman is in the kitchen, with fire, blades, and household products clearly not meant to be swallowed. Do you want a classic coffee or an aromatic one? Boyfriend has hazelnut, Irish and caramel coffee too. By the way, did you know that cyanide actually smells just like almonds? Boyfriend burst out laughing. The friend was dumbfounded, and I just continued. They choose a classic coffee. Do you want a cloud of arsenic in your coffee? I'm sorry, I wanted to say a cloud of milk. Don't worry, it's just a little slip of the tongue, because I talked about poison for a while now. I don't know why, but at that very moment, the friend rushed to the kitchen, escorted me out, and said he will make his own coffee. I asked if he was sure. After all, I don't mind. I still have a lot of funny stories to share. Boyfriend was trying to regain his breath while laughing. He managed to say, I told you so. I was forbidden to enter the kitchen until their friends left that day. I wonder why. I would have made these coffees. I just wanted to share my interest in investigations and crimes. The last story is called Not My Manager. Years ago, I was working for a government facility, which was undergoing a massive transition, as the majority of the employees were reaching retirement age. This place only did a mass hiring to replace people once every 15 years or so. One of the new hires was coming in to replace the current training department head, and was given the title of Deputy Department Manager, while he trained for the new role and prepared to take over. We'll call him E. Dude was the biggest prick I have ever encountered. He was constantly finding reasons to write people up, and spoke down to everyone with a lesser title than himself. His first actions as a deputy manager was to change the way we did training, and change the hiring process, to micromanage who could get hired to this already in-depth vetting process. The job required a top secret clearance. I was part of the class prior to these changes. Training could take upwards of 3 years to complete, and he immediately headed out for anyone from our group that didn't meet his criteria. One day, we all started getting called one by one into the training manager's office for a meeting with the department head, HR, and E. I know what's going on, as the people getting called are the problems E has been trying to get rid of. So I pull E aside. Hey E, I have an idea of what's happening, but just so I'm not blindsided. Are you guys writing us up for something? If so, what incident? So I can make sure I know what went wrong. I'm not allowed to talk about that. As per the employee handbook, only your direct manager can discuss that. And as deputy manager, I'm not your direct manager. So I get called into said meeting, and they are writing us up en masse for things we had already been written up for. Apparently, E had convinced HR that writing everyone up again for all the offenses in a single write-up would make it easier to track. This place could only hold a write-up against you for termination purposes for 1 year. This scheme effectively reset the clock on a lot of those previous write-ups. In my meeting was the department head, HR, and E, with a huge grin on his face. I looked at HR, then looked at E, and asked HR why E was here. They replied, to observe. I asked, but doesn't the handbook say that only my direct management chain and HR are privy to these meetings? If so, I'm not comfortable with E being here and would like him to leave. His demeanor instantly changed, especially since HR agreed with me and had him leave the meeting. Now without him there, I was able to make a case as to why the new write-up was invalid and violated the handbook. Department head had no clue, or at least feinted, that we had already been written up for these offenses. Ultimately got the whole lot of the write-ups for everyone tossed out. Made myself target numero uno for this guy, who eventually got me fired a couple years later, but not before I got him demoted. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.